There are moments in life that arrive very quietly. No noise, no warning, no celebration. Just a small pause in the rhythm of things. A moment where the air feels still, and something inside you begins to wonder. Perhaps you have felt it before. A strange feeling that time is passing, yet nothing around you seems ready to move. The path ahead is not completely clear. The voices around you speak softly, but their message is always the same. Wait a little longer. Not yet. The time will come. And so you stand there, patient, silent, observing. Watching the days move slowly like clouds across a quiet sky, waiting for something to change. They look at you and they think they understand your silence. They see your calm face and they believe. It means you are unsure. They assume you are comfortable, standing where you are. They think you will wait as long as they expect you to. Perhaps they even believe you need their permission, but something deeper is happening inside you. It begins as a small question, almost too quiet to notice. What exactly are you waiting for? Is it the perfect moment? The moment when everything finally feels certain? When every doubt disappears? When every door opens easily? That moment sounds peaceful in the imagination. It sounds safe. But when you look carefully, you begin to see something strange. It never truly arrives. Days become weeks. Weeks quietly become years. And still, the promise of the right time floats somewhere ahead, just far enough away that you can never quite reach it. And the longer you wait, the more comfortable the silence becomes. They begin to expect it from you. They grow used to seeing you patient, thoughtful, quiet. They tell themselves a story about you. A story where you are careful, cautious, slow to move. In their eyes, you are someone who will remain exactly where you are. But silence does not always mean stillness. Sometimes, silence is simply the place where something is slowly growing. A seed beneath the soil does not announce itself. It does not argue with the wind above it. It does not rush toward the sun before it is ready. It waits, but not in the way people think. Its waiting is not empty. It is preparing. And perhaps that is what is happening inside you now. You listen. You watch. You feel the quiet pressure of time moving around you. And slowly, another thought begins to form, a gentle realization. What if the moment you are waiting for was never meant to arrive from the outside? What if it was never hidden somewhere in the future? What if the moment is not something the world gives you, but something you quietly decide? This thought can feel uncomfortable at first, because if it is true, then the waiting suddenly looks different. It means the world was not holding you back. It means the clock was not the thing deciding your path. It means the silence around you was not a signal to stay where you are. And when this realization appears, something subtle begins to change inside your chest. Not excitement, not urgency, just a quiet shift, like the slow turning of a key in a lock. You begin to see the stillness differently. The waiting no longer feels like a prison. It feels more like a doorway that has been standing open the entire time. They may still believe you are standing still. They may still expect you to remain exactly where they left you. But inside, something has already begun to move. Not loudly, not in a way anyone else can see. Just a quiet awareness growing in the silence. And once that awareness appears, the question returns again, softer this time. If the right moment never arrives, then who decides when it begins? There is a quiet kind of loneliness that appears when you begin to change inside. It does not arrive loudly. It does not shout or demand attention. Instead, it settles slowly into the spaces between words, into the pauses when others look at you and wonder what you are thinking. They notice the silence first. Once, perhaps, you explained everything. Your thoughts, your feelings, your reasons. You spoke carefully so that no one would misunderstand you. You tried to make your heart clear, hoping that clarity would bring peace. But something unexpected often happens when we explain ourselves too much. The more we speak, the more others begin to shape our words into their own meanings. They listen, but not always with the same heart that spoke those words. And slowly, you begin to notice it. The way they interpret your patience as hesitation, the way your quiet observation appears to them like uncertainty, the way your calm presence seems to invite their quiet judgment. They look at you and they begin to tell a story, not a cruel story, not always an unkind one, just a simple story that makes sense to them. In their story, you are someone who is unsure, someone who needs time, someone who will eventually follow the same path they expect. And so they speak gently around you, as if guiding you toward that path. Their words may sound helpful, sometimes even kind. But beneath those words, there is a quiet assumption. They believe, they understand you, and perhaps for a long time, you allowed that story to exist. It felt easier that way. Easier to nod. Easier to remain calm. Easier to let the moment pass without turning it into conflict. Because explaining your heart again and again can be exhausting. At some point, the words begin to feel heavy, as if every explanation requires you to prove something that should not need proof. And so slowly, something changes. Not in anger, not in rebellion, just a quiet decision to say less. You begin to watch more carefully. You listen more than you speak. When the moment arrives where you might have explained everything once again, you simply allow the silence to remain. And this silence can confuse people. Without your words guiding them, they fill the space themselves. They guess. They assume. They create new versions of the story they already believe. Some may think you have lost confidence. Others may believe you are unsure. A few may even wonder if you are quietly defeated. But the truth inside you feels very different, because silence, when it comes from awareness, is not weakness. It is often the first sign that something deeper is forming. You begin to see something clearly that was once hidden by constant conversation. Not every misunderstanding needs to be corrected. Not every opinion needs to be challenged. And not every voice deserves the energy of your response. This realization does not make you distant. It simply makes you careful Careful with your words. Careful with your words. Careful with your energy. Careful with the quiet space inside your own heart. You begin to notice how peaceful it feels when you are not rushing to explain yourself, when you allow others to believe what they wish, while you continue walking your own quiet path. There is a strange freedom in this, because the more you stop defending your intentions, the more your inner world becomes your own again, no longer shaped by their expectations, no longer pulled by their interpretations. Just a quiet space where your thoughts can breathe. And in that quiet space, something new begins to grow. A calm strength that does not depend on being understood. A patience that does not demand agreement. You realize that being misunderstood is not always a tragedy. Sometimes it is simply the price of walking a path that others cannot yet see. And as this understanding settles gently into your heart, you begin to notice something else. Their voices become softer. Their assumptions lose their weight. Because when you stop trying to control how others see you, their judgments slowly lose their power. What remains is something much quieter. Just you, standing in your own stillness, no longer explaining every step, no longer chasing approval, simply listening to the quiet voice within that has been patiently waiting to be heard. There comes a quiet moment when you begin to notice something simple, yet deeply important. Not every voice around you is asking to understand. Some voices are simply waiting for a reaction. Perhaps you have seen this before. A small remark spoken with a certain tone. A comment that seems harmless on the surface, yet carries a hidden invitation beneath it. An invitation for you to respond, to defend yourself, to explain again, to prove that what they believe about you is not true. For a long time, it is easy to accept that invitation. Words rise quickly to the surface. The heart begins to beat faster. The mind searches for the right sentence that will finally make everything clear. You speak. You try to place your truth carefully in front of them, hoping that once they see it, the misunderstanding will disappear. But often, something strange happens. The more you react, the more the moment grows. Your words meet their words. Their responses meet your explanations. And slowly, the quiet space that once existed becomes filled with tension that neither side truly wanted. Later, when the moment has passed, you sit with your thoughts and wonder, did the reaction bring peace? Or did it only leave your heart feeling heavier than before? These questions begin to visit you more often, and with time, I lead to a quiet realization. Not every invitation deserves to be accepted. Not every remark requires an answer. Sometimes, the most powerful response is the one that is never spoken. At first, this idea can feel unusual, because silence is often misunderstood. To some, silence looks like surrender, as if you have accepted their version of the story. But inside, something very different is happening. You are not silent because you are weak. You are silent because you have begun to understand the value of your own peace. Every reaction asks something from you. It asks for your energy, your attention, your time, and once that energy is given away, it cannot easily be taken back. Slowly, you begin to see how many moments in life are simply small tests of that energy. A careless word, a doubtful glance, a quiet challenge hidden inside a simple sentence. These moments once pulled you into long explanations. They once led you into conversations that circled endlessly without reaching understanding. But now, you pause. You listen. You feel the weight of the moment, and then you ask yourself something very simple. Is this worth the peace inside my heart? Often, the answer arrives gently, no. And in that small decision, you discover something powerful. When you do not react, the moment loses its fuel. Words that were meant to pull you into conflict fall quietly into empty space. The tension that expected your resistance begins to dissolve on its own. At first, they may be surprised. They may look at you and wonder why you did not respond. They may repeat their words in different ways, hoping to awaken the reaction they expected. But your silence remains calm, not cold, not distant, just peaceful. And over time, this calm begins to reveal a quiet strength, because restraint is not the absence of power. 'Tis the careful direction of power. Like a river that chooses its path slowly, you begin to guide your energy only toward the things that truly deserve it. Your thoughts become clearer. Your heart becomes lighter. The noise that once filled your mind slowly fades, replaced by a stillness that feels almost unfamiliar. And within that stillness, you begin to notice something beautiful. You no longer feel the need to win every moment. You no longer feel the urge to correct every misunderstanding. Some words can pass through the air and disappear without touching you at all. Not because you ignored them, but because you understood them. You understood their purpose and chose peace instead. And in that quiet choice, something inside you grows stronger. A quiet discipline, a calm authority over your own emotions. The realization that true power rarely raises its voice. It simply stands still and allows the storm to pass around it. There is a quiet moment that arrives after a long season of waiting. It does not arrive with noise or celebration. No one announces it. No signal appears in the sky to tell you that the time has come. Instead, it feels almost ordinary. The same quiet air, the same familiar surroundings, the same slow movement of the day. And yet, something inside you feels different. For a long time, you believed that the right moment would appear from somewhere outside of you. You believed it would come when everything was finally clear, when doubt disappeared, when the path ahead looked certain and safe. But life rarely offers that kind of certainty. The world continues moving in its quiet, unpredictable way. Questions remain. Some doors stay closed. Some paths are still hidden from view. And yet, inside your chest, there is a calm feeling that was not there before. Not urgency, not excitement, just a quiet readiness. It is the fee, Lynn, that comes when you have spent enough time listening to yourself, when the noise of other voices has slowly faded into the distance. You remember the long days of waiting, the moments when you wondered if you were falling behind, the quiet pressure that came from the belief that the right time had not yet arrived. They often spoke as if time belonged to them, as if the moment for movement was something the world would eventually hand to you. So you waited patiently, respectfully. But waiting teaches many lessons. And the most important one often arrives silently. The world does not decide when your life begins to move. Only you do. This realization does not appear like a sudden spark. It grows slowly, like light appearing at the edge of morning. You begin to see that the moment you were waiting for was never hiding somewhere ahead. It was never locked behind perfect conditions. It was always something quieter, something closer. A decision. Not a loud decision, not a dramatic one, just the gentle understanding that you are allowed to begin. Even if the path is not fully clear, even if some people do not understand, even if the moment looks ordinary to everyone else, because the truth is simple. Most turning points in life look quiet from the outside. A single step, a small choice, a silent promise you make to yourself. Others may not notice when it happens. They may still believe you are standing in the same place you have always been. They may still tell the same story about you. But stories created by others lose their power when you stop living inside them. Inside your heart, something has already shifted. You no longer measure your life by their expectations. You no longer wait for their approval to move forward. And strangely, this realization brings peace rather than pressure. Because once you understand that the moment belongs to you, there is no longer any need to rush. You do not have to prove anything. You do not have to announce your change. You simply move when your spirit feels ready, quietly, naturally, like a river that has finally found its direction. There is something deeply calm about this kind of movement. It carries no anger, no resentment toward those who once misunderstood you. They were simply seeing the world from their own place, and now you are seeing it from yours. The waiting that once felt heavy now feels meaningful. It was not wasted time. It was a season where patience became clarity, a season where silence slowly revealed the strength inside you. And now, when you look toward the path ahead, the question that once followed you everywhere has quietly disappeared. You no longer ask when the right time will arrive, because you understand something much simpler now. The right moment is not found in the future. It begins the very moment you choose to step forward, softly, calmly, without noise. Just a quiet step into a life that was patiently waiting for you to claim it.